good to finish the year with a good win and, you know, set up a big 2024. That was the main goal, I only had one fight this year, so I really wanted to finish the year with a good win, get back up in the rankings so I could go into 2024 in a much better position and also put that last fight behind me. So it feels good to have done that. My performance against Judy Flores, look, probably I think maybe not my best performance. Watching it back, I'm always pretty critical of myself. Feel like he was also a very good opponent, which is what I wanted. We could have come back and had an easy fight and just beat someone that I knew I was going to beat, even on my worst day, but I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go through a training camp for a fight that I knew was a waste of time, especially at this stage of my career. So I asked my team to get me someone rated as high as we could. We actually had the number 3 locked in for the fight, but he pulled out. So the next best option was Judy Flores, who was rated 15 in the WBA and WBO. And I knew it was going to be a tough fight watching him. He moves quite a lot. He moved quite a lot on the night, which made it hard for me to really break him down and get the stoppage, which I would have loved. But ultimately I did what I had to do to get the win and progress in my career, and that win should set me up for a big 2024. I knew I was cut, but it didn't really bother me. I didn't know how bad it was at the time until after the fight when I went in the change room. It was a pretty decent cut. I got 8 stitches and got them out a couple of days ago and looks to have healed up really good, so that's a good sign. But yeah, it didn't really affect me during the fight at all. The blood was going into my eyes a little bit, but not much. It wasn't affecting my vision, so yeah, it wasn't a problem. The super flyweights are in an interesting position at the moment. It's always been a stacked division. I think the lighter weights don't get the recognition they deserve. I believe there's the most action in these fights. The best fight the best a lot more often than what you see in these other bigger weight divisions. And you know, I think Chocolatito a few years ago started to try and sort of change that around, and people started to watch the lighter weights a bit more, and yeah, hopefully that continues to happen, because you know, when people watch these lighter guys and they see the fights like that, I don't know how you can't be impressed. For me, that's a lot more action than you see in the heavyweights, but maybe I'm biased. I'm hearing rumours that Chocolatito, Estrada, Nakatani are all moving up to bantamweight apparently. So the division's really going to open up next year, I believe, and you know, there's going to be a lot of movement. There's going to be a big position there to be filled for someone to take over that division, and I plan on that being me. So I'm really excited for next year. Hopefully I'll get a shot at one of the titles, whichever it be. But yes, the WBO is the route we're going to target. That belt becomes vacant in February. I believe Kosei Tanaka will win that fight in Feb, and I'm hoping I'm next in line to fight him, because that's a fight that I really want and a fight I really believe I can win. In the latest rankings, I'm at number 4 in the WBO after that win, which is great. So number 1 is Tanaka, number 2 the Mexican that he's fighting for the belt. Chocolatito's at 3, and I don't believe he's going to go that route. I believe he may be moving up to bantamweight or challenging for the WBC title, which he usually does. So I could end up at number 1, and hopefully I take it Tanaka's going to win that fight, and I'm hoping I'll be in that mandatory spot to fight him as soon as possible. So his fight's in Feb. I think he's going to win that pretty comfortably, and hopefully he's ready to go soon after that. So the Mexican, I can't pronounce his name, Christian, well, it's a hard one to pronounce, but we had him agreed to fight me last weekend in Melbourne. Speaking with his team, everything was ready to go, but they must have had whispers that Nakatani was going to be vacating the belt and moving up. So they said that they would rather just hold their position and not fight, which I was really disappointed, because I really knew I was going to beat him, and he was at number 3. It would have put me into a great position. And I thought he was crazy. I thought he was never going to get the shot, but he obviously was a smart man, and now he's fighting for the vacant belt against Kosei Tanaka on 24th of Feb, I believe it is. I've watched a lot of footage of the Mexican, obviously, when I thought I was fighting him, and yeah, I just don't think he's really got a chance against Tanaka. Yeah, if I'm honest, I was quite shocked he was at number 3 when I watched footage of him. He didn't look like he deserved to be at that level, and I don't think he's got any chance against Tanaka, so I think he wins that fight easily, and then hopefully he's ready to fight March or April, and we can fight for that belt. Yeah, so I've watched Tanaka quite a lot over the years, and it's always been a fight that I thought was going to happen at some stage. He's got very fast hands, he's very flashy, but as you saw against when he fought Ioka, he can be hit, he can be outboxed by someone who's smart. And I just believe that my style and his will clash really well, and I believe I can do a very similar job to what Ioka did and get that world title strapped around my waist. Oh, there's so much to learn from that last fight against Nakatani. Ultimately, I think I was too eager to win. I wanted to win that belt so badly that I sort of everything was a blur. I didn't think my way through the fight. So that's probably what I learnt most from it, and what I tried to bring to the table last weekend when I fought is just to slow down a little bit, think my way through the fight and not rush anything. In fact, that was my 30th professional fight on the weekend, so I'm a veteran now, and I've got to start to use that experience and use my boxing IQ and think my way through the fights and not rush. And I believe I did that last weekend, and that's what I'm going to continue to moving forward in my career. My team is over in America at the moment. Jason's preparing for his world title defence in January, so they're over in Vegas at the moment. So they've caught up with the top-ranked team, and they've got some big plans for us next year. So I'm really looking forward. I think 2024 is going to be a great year for me and my brother Jason, and we're finally going to knock that goal off the list that we've been working for 20 years and both be world champions at the same time. So Jason's been in Vegas for about 3 days now. So yeah, he's already been preparing really hard here back home, but now over in Vegas, missing out on Christmas with his family, missing New Year's, missing our birthday, making all the sacrifices he needs to retain that world title. So yeah, he's left no stone unturned, and I know that, making all these sacrifices, there's no way he's going to let go of that belt. So I'll fly over there for fight week and be there to support him in Canada and make sure he comes home with that belt. I'm hoping he has a big homecoming fight in Australia after that. I think he really deserves it. I would love for Jason to defend his belt here in Australia, and to me to fight and become world champion in Australia. That would be a dream come true. There's nothing that could beat that. So yeah, fingers crossed we can make that happen. It's definitely challenging fighting on the same night as Jason. We've done it a lot throughout our career, mainly because it's so good for our supporters and our fans and family and friends to be able to come along and watch us both on the same night. But it is challenging being the fighters, especially when you're the second one to fight on that night. It's hard to switch off and to not use a lot of nervous energy while your brother's fighting, because I've tried not watching it, I've tried to stay in the back room, and you know it's happening and there's nothing you can do. You're nervous, you can hear the crowd, and then you're wondering what's happening, and it's quite draining. So I've tried watching it, not watching it, I've tried everything to try and shut it off, but there's nothing you can do. You've just got to try and remain as calm as possible, which is very difficult, because you obviously got to try and save that energy when you've got a fight coming up in half an hour's time. So yeah, it's challenging, and there's been times where one of us has had a really good win and one's lost, and it obviously makes it hard. You want to celebrate a win, but you feel for your brother. But then there's been plenty of times too where we've both won and been able to celebrate together and go through the training camp together at the same time, and it's been an amazing feeling. So yeah, it's worth it when it pays off, but it's obviously it's hard to deal with when things don't go to plan. It was amazing to fight back home in Melbourne in front of all my family and friends and supporters again. Great way to finish the year, and I just thank everyone for still supporting me and following my journey. It was obviously a rough year this year, falling short of the world title, but I thank my fans and sponsors for sticking by me, and 2024 is going to be a massive year, so stay tuned. I'll get my hands on that world title for sure.